As hands down the biggest K-pop YouTuber out there, he gets a ton of shit, but is it warranted? Come with me on this journey today as we explore JRE's past, present, and future, find out what makes him tick, and see if he really is as fake as so many people claim. Play my intro.
What? Okay, man, let's go.
So if this is your first time watching, don't forget to hit the subscribe button because I've got a ton of content coming in 2018 and you don't want to miss it. So as with anybody, you cannot open the book of their life to the middle and understand why that person thinks the way they do or what makes them tick. So it is important to go back to the beginning with JRE and see where he comes from and his life experiences that have shaped who he is. Because where a person comes from is extremely important. It shapes their personality. It shapes who they are. It shapes how they respond to different situations and how they carry themselves in everyday life. So Dre's dad is from Jamaica and his mom is from the Philippines. He was born in 1990 in Dade County, Florida.
Welcome to my home. Bienvenido a Miami.
According to what Dre has said multiple times, he has a fantastic relationship with his parents, which is important because your relationship with your parents, like it or not, affects your personality dramatically. Which I think is important to understand about Dre. One's relationship with their parents is extremely important in shaping who you are as a person from a very young age, how you talk, how you interact with people, etc. So I know the channel's name is JREKML. KML is his cousin, but she's not really around much anymore, and this video is not about her, so I won't really be discussing her at all in case you were wondering. So if we jump forward to high school, which tends to be a time in your life where a large portion of your personality is shaped. So in Dre's own words, he was sort of a social chameleon. He could hang out with the cool kids or the nerdy kids, most of the time choosing to spend his time with the nerdy kids. Now straight from Dre's mouth, in being friends with the nerds, he often had to be the one to defend them against bullies, as he has a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Which, if true, speaks very highly of his core personality and the fact that he will literally risk bodily harm and potential punishment from authority figures to defend his friends from an unjust act. So it's admirable, if true. Jumping forward from there to his college years, his very first class he took was a music appreciation class, and it was the first time that he was exposed to K-pop. But by his own admission, he was not interested in it at the time, which also is important to note that he would even admit that. It shows that there's honesty there, because somebody as big as him stating that he didn't like K-pop when he first heard it, you'd set off a lot of the little triggered fangirls and fanboys out there, for sure. Respectable that he would say that. It was then in college in 2011 that he started his YouTube channel, and by his own admission again, did not have the presence or the ability to know how to present himself, and he was too shy for anything he did to really catch on. During college, he took classes in film and TV production, in which, because nobody else would volunteer, he was the anchorman, the weatherman, the TV personality. And this, according to him, is when JRE was born, which is basically, and these are his words, his personality times 10. Which I think you can interpret one way or the other, depending upon how cynical you are. So JRE states that one day he was thinking about his heritage and the fact that he looks up to Bob Marley as a musical hero from his Jamaican ancestry, but he didn't have anybody to look up to for music in the Asian ancestry. So he typed the words Asian Usher into Google, and Taeyang popped up with I Need a Girl.
Girl, I need a girl.
And this is where his K-pop obsession begins. He then does his first K-pop reaction video to BAP's Warrior, which garnered over 5,000 views very quickly. And when you're a new YouTuber with no subscribers, that is a shit ton of views. So what happens next is extremely important, and it changed my mind on how I view JRE. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to explain this to you in depth. JRE's channel had started growing, and in doing so, he was doing all kinds of live chats with people and making tons of friends and people of like mind on YouTube and probably in the real world too, and essentially forming what he calls his K-pop family. During this stage of growth in his channel, his dad suffers from a stroke. His mom, who is a nurse, had to go to the hospital with him and take care of him for quite a long time. Dre was left at home alone most of this time to basically stew in that shit. He, by his own admission, had thoughts that were negative. He didn't use the word suicide, but it was implied.
And during those weeks, I wasn't myself. I was in a dark place. Not that much people notice on Tiny Jet, but I had bad thoughts, like really bad thoughts. I was alone. I was sad. I didn't want to deal with anybody.
And he says the primary thing that got him through this extremely difficult part of his life was his K-pop family and K-pop in general, because if you watch K-pop and you like K-pop, you know K-pop makes you feel better. But I think this fact right here is key. I think that this point in his life was a turning point, because you figure he's at a point where he's in college, his personality and who he's going to be and who he wants to be is still forming a little bit, and you know, you're becoming the man in this case that you're going to be for the rest of your life. Something like that shapes how you are. And I say this because he gets a ton of shit for being too positive and liking everything, and I will, to an extent, I will agree with that. I think it was this time in his life that really shaped his personality, and therefore his personality times 10 in his future videos. Because if you watch his videos, he does like everything. He's a very positive, happy, easygoing kind of guy. And I think it's just his core personality. I think he appreciates his family and his friends, and he tends to look at and focus on the positive things in life and doesn't like to focus on the negative things. And that comes through in how he portrays himself in his videos. Now, I will agree to a certain respect that his reactions are a little fake sometimes, but only in the respect he tries not to be mean or too harsh to these acts. Now, me personally, that's not how I am. That's not who I am, but it's how he is, and I understand better now from looking back at his life and doing a little bit of research into what makes him tick, that he would be that way. I have went through about 100 of his videos, and if you look at his track record of videos, when it comes to the reaction videos, yes, he loves everything. He likes everything. And when he doesn't like something, he'll say something along the lines of, it's just not my style, or it's not really my thing, but he'll still point out the positives in the video, because I think it's just his nature to look at the positives of things. He's been very consistent in that regard, and that is why I don't think it's fake. I think he just, by his own nature, focuses on the positive. I do wish that he would say when he doesn't like something, but he only seems to direct that positivity at the groups. If you look at his other content, he has no problem bashing and calling the BS of K-pop industry double standards, K-pop record labels.
Guys can body roll all over the place, in the air, on the floor, and even air hump for freaking bonus points. One squat from a girl. One squat from a girl. I'm just talking about one squat from a girl. Oh, she nasty. She a slut. Really though.
He does cross over into that negative aspect of his personality when it comes to those things, because I think he recognizes that the groups in K-pop don't really have a lot of say over the content they put out, and that it mostly is the record labels, managements, etc. that put this content out. So one thing that people always say about him is he's gotten a big head as of late, and I think that there was some truth to that in 2017 especially, and I think that it's a logical conclusion in some cases when you get as big as he got. When you go from being some kid in your bedroom, filming yourself, watching other people's videos, to being invited to meet GOT7 and Card and meeting Taeyang and these people knowing who you are, and then you get invited on reality shows to be a judge, and suddenly your opinion matters a lot more than it did. It's easy to get a big head to see yourself like that. I think it would just be human nature to do that. But what's more important is you catch that shit and that you change it and you humble yourself. And I think he's done that. So he just put out a new video at the beginning of this year, basically discussing 2017 and 2018. And he called himself out in the video and said that his family and his friends had basically told him, you got a big head this year and you need to humble yourself. And he agreed that that was the case and recognized the flaw in himself.
I realized what person I don't want to be. There's been times where I realized that I was becoming the person I hated. And I'm glad to have people around me and people check me, you know, humble me. Family members humble me. And I'm so grateful for that because I didn't want to become that person.
And I think that's extremely important to understand, that we're all just humans, you know what I mean? He didn't anticipate that his life was going to change when he turned the camera on the first time and started body rolling, you know what I mean? How could he have known how big he was going to get from doing something so simple? He's still learning. He's still finding his way through life like we all are, groping through the darkness, and you can't see the forest through the trees. So after I look back at JRE's life, and I got a better grasp and understanding of where he comes from as a person and some of the experiences in his life that have shaped who he is and why he does what he does, the question still remains: is JRE fake? No, JRE is not fake. And I'll tell you why. He has consistently shown the same personality traits throughout all of his YouTube videos. In my opinion, just generally seems like a nice, chill person who doesn't like to offend anybody. And if that is his core personality, then doing those things in his videos and not saying that he doesn't like things or talking shit about people is being truthful to who he is. Therefore, it is not fake. Now, if his track record in the past said one thing and then all of a sudden switched up because he was meeting all these famous people, then I would say yes. But for the mass majority of his content, he is the same person, and that speaks volumes. So guys, did this video change your mind on Dre, or do you still feel the same way? I'm curious if you changed your preconceptions of him or not, because I can tell you I honestly did. So guys, if you like what you see and you want to see more, click one of the two links that's going to pop up at the bottom of the screen right here. And don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. And as always, keep on popping, K-poppers. Remember, it's not a trend. It's a lifestyle. Deuces.
Can y'all feel that? Can y'all feel that?
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's